more motivated to make sure recorded because I know that there are other sessions that are happening at the same time and people are making choices some highlighted, which I definitely understand. But anyway, welcome to the library. And what this session is about today is to basically explain to you what our library services are while we're still in transition mode, hopefully getting away from the COVID pandemic, continuing to, of course, close certain things down or limit certain things down in terms of services or whatnot. And where we are at this point, as well as what you can do in your Canvas course to provide library resources within, let alone even some library instruction, including library orientations, which we are still providing live through Zoom. So I have provided a link, and I'll go ahead and copy and paste it because I'm eventually going to scroll down this page if you want to have it on your own page. And by the way, if you haven't logged into Canvas yet, it would not hurt if you're logged into Canvas to follow some of the things I will be showing you later today. So first off, on top, I have a lot of quick links listed on top, and I'm just going to go through these relatively quickly. The first one, which is called the toolkit, and let me bring this up. I have it further down below at this moment on the screen. This is what I created fall of last year, and I've been modifying it since as time goes by. But this is basically the overall ever-encompassing toolkit of what you can do to provide links to the library, databases, particular tools that some of which I'll be showing you today, like Curriculum Builder. All of that is still available online. It is linked from our intermediary library homepage. And this pretty much includes most of the materials that I'm showing you today and beyond, since I only have less than an hour to show all of you this. There is a web services page to faculty. I'll go ahead and paste that down in the chat as well. And by the way, almost all these links are included in that toolkit page, let alone in the Library Flex page of today, of course. And as you can see here, this is where you can go for a lot of these general things, as well as what is available to you, especially video streaming, which right now we're pretty lax on some restrictions that we would ordinarily have because we only have so much in spending. But since we're still purchasing a little bit less in print right now, we're doing what we can for streaming, as long as it's not feature films, because that is its own unique animal. And all I can say kindly, and try not to be too controversial, is as far as student Hollywood is concerned, if it comes to student equity, when it comes to streaming, they don't care. They would rather students get onto Netflix and Amazon and get into all the ones as possible to be able to see their stuff, unfortunately. And there's definitely some pages that address fair use, although there is an OER session later today that one of our fellow librarians, John Chan and Melissa Patterson, one of the chairs of the COOL committee, is going to be discussing in terms of important legalities that you can use. And granted, it's in the context of OER, but you need to understand not everything, just because it comes from the library, boom, OER, you have to still be conscious what you're doing. And that's where Curriculum Builder will become important, which I will show later today. There's a library orientations request form. Oops, not that one. It's this one. No, it's not. Okay, I had it. Oh, here it is. And it looks like this. And when you fill it out, make sure you fill out all the required forms. And you notice it talks about dates and times, and it says for asynchronous, if you're teaching an asynchronous class, you simply select 100% online courses. You still have to state a date and time so that the librarian will know when to get that together for these requests. But as I've said, we for those teaching synchronous classes, we live in action, we do provide live library orientations through Zoom. Another thing in here, which has now become very important, is to place books on reserve. We have a Google form available. Make sure that when you put in a request that if it's a what is called a non-textbook, like a novel, make sure the library has it. Otherwise, you want to place donate a copy to be in our reserve collection. And then if it's a textbook, we're almost always not going to have it. So you need to place a reader's copy on reserve, but you can fill out this form and then send it, either come to the library to submit the book later, or give it to us through intercampus mail. And as soon as we get it, as soon as Sandy Tran, our library technician who puts all our reserves items in our catalog together, she will get those up as soon as possible. Reserve books are in-house use only, so photocopiers are definitely now available. We also even have granted upstairs in our computer labs some scanners, although those scanners have some limited amount of capabilities. But those are definitely available for students. Make sure that they definitely bring change with them, or at least a $1 bill or $5 bill, because they'll need to make the copies through that method. We have a library page in Canvas that looks like this. It's part of the Student Resource Hub. And I will, there's a curriculum builder handout, which we will talk about later. Then one thing that hopefully I will definitely have time to talk about is this important page, which I don't think I have up anymore. I think I accidentally, so I'll bring it up again. It basically lets you know where our vendors are. And if you notice on this page, Elsevier is interesting, a unique animal, and I'll talk about them in a moment. But unfortunately, Gale and Canopy are definitely have some limits. And so what's important that you should know is that we librarians will constantly advocate that our vendors improve on keeping and protecting the privacy of our students as best as we can. And that's what that quick link is about. So anyway, let me just quickly welcome everyone. So library is now open Mondays through Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Spring hours are still being planned. Our tentative hours at the moment, and this will change, so don't immediately report this to students as of yet. But we will probably be open twice the amount, so 40 hours a week, Mondays through Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we're still planning this. And as our experience has been when it comes to planning how we would be in terms of our physical operations, do not be surprised if some things change and turn around until literally the day after Martin Luther King's birthday, when we actually may start opening. So do keep that in mind, especially in terms of what exact services we might have available. Right now, in-person library orientations is not available. There are not group study areas, although I guess one can make a case for our balcony, outdoor balcony, but even then that needs to be in check. And our quiet study room, and that's because there's limited filtration even with an air filter inside. So we definitely want to make sure things are safe as possible. Probably a big announcement that we haven't made through our email system as of yet, since she's just started. Our new user experience and technology librarian, Eugenia Chan, has just joined us this week. Eugenia, would you like to introduce yourself briefly since you're on here?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Eugenia Chan. I'm the new UX and technology librarian, like Norman said, and just started out this week. So trying to get my footing in and happy to meet everyone.
Yes, definitely. Welcome, Eugenia. Eugenia has come from Holy Names University before, and she's been there 10 years and has definitely, been like the access services librarian and head of technology there. And so we strongly welcome her to our team. So the goal for today's workshop, and already we only have 45 minutes left, so I will already modify this a little bit, but is to make sure to show you how to bring library into your courses. So first of all, we do have chat reference available 24 hours, 7 days a week, and Chabot librarians are available first and foremost to respond to chat reference questions during pretty much all the same hours we had pre-COVID, one exception being Saturdays. So that's Mondays through Thursdays, 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Fridays, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so there are various different ways you can get there in many library pages. And if you're searching EBSCOhost, you'll notice this little blue tab, like folder tab, that's on the right side of the web browser screen. That's how you can immediately go in to ask certain questions. So let me just show you as an example here. Looking at our usual homepage, you'll notice on the right side here, you select this and then you enter your name, your email, and your question, and then select, and then your student or you yourself, if you have a question, will then get further help. We of course have the Student Hub page, as I mentioned before. This is definitely something that you could definitely link to in your course itself. You notice that the chat window is right here towards the top. And you can even put it via script using this script information on this part. And this is also in the toolkit too, by the way. And what's important to know is that your width should always be at 100%. And you can definitely adjust what you want for height in the script. And so as you can see here, width 100%, and then you can determine what your height rate is. So if something's like too big for a chat window, you definitely have some control over that. Okay, library orientations, as I said, are available, and I already showed you where that is. That includes if you're teaching a live class, we can be there on the screen through the Smart Classroom display. And as always, whether it's live or it's pre-recorded that you're requesting, you should always make your request at least 1 week in advance so the librarian can provide and prepare for it. Especially since, if I can click on the library orientations tab for a second and show you an example here. They are tailored to your individual assignments and a class that you provide. So we can especially highlight to you what databases would work best, and maybe even suggested books that are, especially ebooks, that are available to them. And we can definitely provide them through our library guides. And so that's definitely something that we create for library orientations. Now, this part I'm going to get back to in a second, but when I know that a number of you go ahead and probably insert in your Canvas course a book chapter or an article or an entire ebook. Although if you're doing an entire ebook, you're probably violating copyright unless it's a fair use book. Well, I mean, an OER book, and then even then you need to make sure what is permissible in that case. But what's important to understand is that there are different ways that you can provide articles without worrying about whether you're violating copyright. And so some of you are saying, well, if it's behind Canvas, isn't that enough? It's protected, it's just for that class. Well, for like 15 years now, I'd say around now, there have definitely been a lot of court cases. Probably the ones that are most known are those that are happening in the state of Georgia. And regionally, I guess from the appeals level, it hasn't gone to the Supreme Court as of yet. But there are definitely publishers that are demanding royalties, even if you put anything behind the scenes. So right now, what the courts have been saying up to this point is no more than 10% of volume, not an issue if you're thinking of magazine or journals, 10% of volume. And what is also acceptable is a chapter, a short story, or a poem from, a book. And here's the important part, no more than one section. So if you teach 4 sections, say of English 4, and want to use a poem by Langston Hughes, you would have to pay royalties if you put that poem behind your course. So what we have instead is what is called a curriculum builder. And curriculum builder, which is provided by the EBSCOhost vendor. What it does, and God, I hope I didn't accidentally remove it. Let me see if I can find it for a second. Yes, okay, so what you're able to do is provide what is called a reading list. And so in the course itself, and it would be a module that you would create, you have your magazine and journal articles, your ebooks, your reference resources. If it's from a database that doesn't show up in the search tool that you have for Curriculum Builder, you can link to that, as well as websites, as well as provide instructions. And you can definitely click and drag and change the order. And you notice that you can create multiple folders for readings for different weeks. And you can definitely click and drag to drop in different folders if you wanted to change your week and your due date. You can do all of that with Curriculum Builder. And what is nice is that all these materials stay on the vendor's server. So you're free of worry about whether you are violating copyright or you're doing fair use correctly if you use this type of resource. There is another way to do that, and that is called permalinking. And what's important to understand with permalinking, hopefully I still have this up. Okay, yeah, I have some examples still up. You notice in the little picture down below that one says no and one says yes. Well, the problem is that if you permalink and you try to, and you found something from a database and you want to just provide this to students, and this has happened quite a bit. A number of you have definitely done this, and then we're helping the student through chat reference, and we eventually figure out what's going on. This link above is not a permanent link. It is a temporary session from a database search. So in other words, you can't go back to that link. So what you need to do is look for either a chain link symbol, as in this example here. So let me give you the visual so you can see that. And so you click on that, and I had it up there for a second. I probably have to restart, but you saw it here a second. Then it would show up here, and then you would copy and paste what that would show right in between this blue screen and above this article. So between this title and that, the permalink would then appear, and I'd probably have to reconstruct it because the temporary session has expired. But that's what you would need to do otherwise. What's nice with Curriculum Builder is that you have a button, you say add this, and then it's automatically added, so you don't have to worry about those type of URLs. Anyway, I will get back to that in about 10-15 minutes, and I will show you more how to use Curriculum Builder. In addition to that, you can also have certain streaming films from our Films on Demand and Alexander Street, which has our PBS titles, into Canvas directly. You can't do this, unfortunately, with Canopy. And I will show you how to do that as well. This is what is called LTI, the external tools function, which you would use in your modules in Canvas. Okay, one comment I do want to make about Canopy is that, one, you will definitely need to provide a link. You need to make sure that your link begins with Chabot College, not just canopy.com if you provide it to students. And what would happen from student experiences, they would then go to a new screen, they would go to this, they would click where it says watch now. And then they need to log in. And I guess what would happen, okay, so it already remembered my, what it should have shown up first, and I guess it remembered my username and password is the institutional login and password. So you enter that. And then after that, if the student has never had a Canopy account before, they need to create one. So you need to do both. In other words, you have to do 2 logins as far as Canopy is concerned. And so I'm doing that now, and because it probably remembers, oh no, I still need to enter my email address and my password.
Well, while Norman's doing that, you can also watch Canopy. This is Dr. Morrison. You can also watch Canopy if you have a smart TV.
Yes, you definitely can.
And watch these films on your smart TV.
Yeah, in this case, we have to enter the title of the film again. So it is a little bit convoluted, and this is unfortunately coming from the vendor. We don't have that much control over that. I wish it was more easier. And then, you know, the student can then be able to watch that film. So a couple of other things I want to quickly announce, and then I will show you how to use Curriculum Builder, as well as how to do the videos from Films on Demand and Alexander Street inside the Canvas course. So we do have 2 new databases coming up that are going to begin in January. One of them, Ethnic Diversity Source, is already available. And so this is definitely strengthening our resources for our diverse group of students. Is definitely in the spirit of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And unlike some of our abstracts and indexes that we've had, such as like Bibliography of Asian Studies and Chicano Database, this actually leads you directly to full text resources. And so, and let alone the indexing is much richer than it is from the others. So we definitely are strongly very happy to get that new database in. So it looks like, you know, your basic, you know, like EBSCOhost type of database interface. And then you just go in and search and you come across lots of resources. So let's say I was looking for information, Dolores Huerta, for example, boom, it came across 578 resources, which would be, by the way, a lot richer than what you would find from Chicano Database because it's an index only. Taylor Francis will be enhancing our humanities and social sciences collection, and we definitely strongly welcome the inclusion of this database as well. So definitely take a look at those. A reminder, we have an app called Lean Library. It works with laptops and desktops. It allows the student to be notified if something is available in the library. So for example, I'm going to reload this too, so I'll make sure that this works. But let's say that student was looking to purchase a book from Amazon. They're notified that the library has it. They click on that notification link that pops up. And what usually is supposed to happen, of course, this never seems to happen whenever I'm in transition mode, is another screen. The pop-up appears again in the top right. It happens in 2 sequences, and then you go directly to the book itself. And then if this happens, I would tell the students, well, start over again. And well, let me see if this will show up now. No, it's being stubborn. It figures whenever I'm showing this live to faculty, it never works. But what is supposed to happen, it goes directly to the ebook itself. And Just a little brief comment. We do have subscribed to some databases that have some controversy. One of them is CQ Researcher, which has some DEI issues. In other words, sometimes some of its hot topics might seem a little bit biased. The vendor is now working on that. In fact, they're putting together an advisory board together of librarians from various different academic institutions, and especially to focus on this to improve this issue. The bigger concern is Nexus Uni and Science Direct. The owner, RALX and Elsevier, which is a parent company, shares their user data with ICE, which is definitely, as you can imagine, a grave concern a lot of us have. And so what we're doing in response to that is for Nexus Uni, we no longer provide it as a newspapers database. Instead, it's geared for our paralegal program and for our business law courses. And that is just as well because Nexus Uni has been losing more and more newspapers in their database. They just recently lost Washington Post, for example. And so we're eventually, probably by July of next year, going to get the Newsbank database to focus more on local and regional newspapers because they're the ones who snatched a lot of those titles because of exclusive use. And we'll give special instructions, of course, to the paralegal program and to those who are teaching business law. The general advice we give is that students, in a lot of databases, students can create their own accounts for what are called like journal alerts and other unique things that are in the vendor window. We will simply advise students not, and we will tell instructors this, not students to create their own accounts in there. Likewise with Science Direct, although in Science Direct, we're able to find a rather unique workaround. And that is, instead of searching in Science Direct, you can search through the EBSCO Discovery Service interface. And so we would be in here, you enter your topic, let's say inertia and physics, just as a very broad search in here. And then when they find something's available, they click on what's called the full text finder link, which will then go to here. And then instead of having their search activity be recorded in Elsevier Science Direct, they're just going directly to the article itself. So those are our ingenious workarounds of how to protect our students' privacy in the meantime, because these databases have such unique resources that if we discontinue them, it would seriously impact particular assignments and disciplines, and that's the last that we ever want to happen. So that's a quick introduction to everything. So what I will do for the rest of our time is I'm going to show you how to use Curriculum Builder. I'll probably show you how to use Films on Demand Alexander Street first because it's a little bit simpler. And before I get there, I just want to know if anyone had any questions. Okay, if not, let's go ahead and if you haven't yet, log into Curriculum Builder. I'm just going to, Curriculum Builder, log into Canvas. And by the way, if you're on our library web pages, it's on the bottom of the page here. And oh, I've already logged in, so I don't even need to do anything. Oh, actually, no, I do. So I'm going to go in and do that. And I'm going to go into what we mean, of course. And basically, the first thing you want to do when you create any read list or assignment list is you're usually going to be in what is called modules. You add a new module, give it a name. So I'm going to call this Curriculum Builder number 2, so that I'm not because it doesn't like it if you use the same name for something if you do that. And so I've now created my volume, and now I'm going to go drop down the bottom, make sure it's in published mode. That's usually the number one question that anyone asks. Why isn't it showing up? It's because you need to put in publish mode, otherwise your students aren't going to see it. And then you hit the plus sign. And so for everything I'm showing today, you want to go to external tool. And you notice from this list, there's 3C Media, which if you don't know 3C Media, if you're doing any lectures on your own and whatnot, that's where you're dropping in your 3C Media account. Alexander Street has our PBS videos listed further down below. Here's Curriculum Builder. Here's Films on Demand. And there's even some of our databases like Gale Virtual Reference Library, also known as Gale eBooks. Although, warning I will give you, Gale doesn't seem to be working with everyone. Christy's been trying to figure this out. So I would just say go ahead and link in the case of the Gale databases. And then from Infobase, Issues and Controversies is also available on here. So you see there's a lot of different choices for different textbooks, YouTube, and whatnot. And in our case, I'm first going to show you how to add something from Films on Demand. So I go into here, Films on Demand. Let's say that I'm not looking for a specific title. I'm just looking for something, say on Dolores Huerta, for example, who I used this example earlier. So looking to see what they have, and they have one called Decision to Become a Civil Rights Activist, and let's say that I'm interested in using that. So what I do next is I use preview to make sure that it's working fine. And then for embed, you can decide if you want it small, medium, and large on your page. Let's say we select medium, and then we add our item. So we still need to remember to publish this, of course, once it's ready to be shown. We look at it, and there it is directly, the video itself for the student to watch. They don't have to exit Curriculum Builder. They don't have to enter their WID number and their 6-digit class web PIN to look at, say, like a Canopy video first part along with the other part, or for databases, the 6-digit PIN. And there it is right within inside. That's similar experience, by the way, with the Curriculum Builder items and the others as to what the student will experience, which is quite, I'm sure you can see, is quite nifty. So we're going to go back to our Curriculum Builder number 2. And we're going to add now PBS video. So I'm now in here, and we once want external tool. And now it would be Alexander Street is what it's called, not PBS. And this is important. You don't want to search all titles. You want to search PBS. If you search all titles, you're searching everything available from Alexander Street, whether the library has it or not. So you want to make sure you limit it to PBS and then enter your search terms. I don't know if Dolores Huerta will be in here, but we'll see what happens. And I'm probably going to get no results because I accidentally added an S to her name. And okay, it found something, say, looks like she's referred to in, really not about her, but she definitely came in. Let's say we were interested in adding Prejudice and Pride. We looked at it and we decide we want that. So we add that, we add item. Make sure that, remember to, that it's published, that's in green. And then we take a look. And there it is. Now, unfortunately, unlike Films on Demand, we don't have as much cases on our size of our video, and that is a suggested enhancement I provided to the ProQuest vendor that provides it. But it's definitely something that you can provide to appear right in your class. So now let's talk about adding articles and ebooks through Curriculum Builder. So again, in our module, we're going to add our external tool. And in this case, we scroll down to Curriculum Builder and we add our item. And we make sure that it will be viewed by our students later. But they're going to view something different than what we're going to see. Because from the student's point of view, they're going to see all of the articles and ebooks and other things that you've added into the Curriculum Builder platform. In other words, what your student would see would be, would look like this, and not the search box that's going to appear. And I sometimes have to, I had to do this during my test right beforehand. So I'm going to backtrack again. And it's still taking its time. But what shows up is a search box. And then we can search for a specific ebook, a specific article. And just in case, because I had it for the other above, it might still appear in the other, and that may be why it's being stubborn. So I'm going to backtrack for a second, and let me see if it's still showing up here when I was doing this beforehand. And gosh, I hope this shows up. If not, I will show you through the PDF what would happen. Let's give it a minute. And who knows, this may be because in the other workshops right now, so many people are using Canvas, it might be overburdened, who knows. Yeah, unfortunately, it's taking its time. Let me see if I do believe I have it. Excuse me for a second. I know yes. Okay, so what would have happened next is this is what it would look like right here. So you get search for library resources, you enter your search terms, you click on search. And then when you come across an ebook or an article, you simply click on this button which says add to reading list. And then when done, you eventually have your reading list. You can change your order by clicking and dragging these individual titles. And then you can create folders if you have reading lists, say over a number of different weeks, and then click and drag that. And what's especially nice is in most cases, if especially it says full text with either a PDF or HTML, it will show literally inside the course itself once the student clicks on that full text link. So, okay, so it finally showed up live here. So I'm going to give you an example of an actual ebook I know that an instructor is using. So DNA. So boom, add to reading list. That ebook is then available. And then whenever, by the way, you add an ebook, you might want to contact the library because sometimes some of our ebooks have a limited number of how many people can view at one time. And I have to go directly to the PDF itself. So let me show you that so you can see how that works. So on the top right here, it lets us know how many copies there are. Fortunately for this title, there's unlimited copies available. For some, it might be only 1 or 3 at one time. And if that is happening, you'll want to contact us, especially John Chan, our collection development librarian. I will put his email in the chat, which is simply jchan@chabotcollege.edu. And that way he can make sure that maybe we may have additional copies if there's turnaways. He'll be alerted to it. And then if we have a budget, he may order a few more copies. So definitely do keep that in mind. So going back to, gosh, I have so many screens up now. Okay, I was in this screen. So now we're back to our results, and let's say that, okay, in addition to that, we want to find articles just on anything on our topic. So let's say anything on Dolores Huerta, for example, civil rights activist. And so we decide, okay, we want to add this ebook, we want to add this journal. And usually, of course, we would have looked at it first. And we want to add this reference resource. And let's say for, okay, I want to make sure there was an example here. Let's say we wanted this, one that says full text finder, we add that. And so now, whenever we want to take a look and see how our read list is, we go back to the top and it says see current read list. So it's whatever read list we're currently on. If it's another folder, you have to then click on that other folder to see that other read list. But as you can see, here's all of our items here. So for this ebook, for example, we click on that full text, student automatically goes to that. No need to enter a username and password. But if it's a full text finder like that, it's a little bit different. Then the student would likely click where they go to JSTOR, and then they would need to log in to JSTOR. So there are still some cases where they still need to enter their WID number and their 6-digit class web PIN in order to see some of these materials. But there are some cases where it's under the illusion that it's already there sitting in your Canvas course. So that's what's especially nice about using the reading list software. So that's pretty much my presentation on everything. I'm happy to do any examples or answer any questions that you have, which doesn't only have to be about this. It can be anything about the library. And there are other librarians on here. You already heard from, of course, Dr. Kim Morrison, and you've heard from Eugenia. But if you any questions you have, we'll do our best to answer. Okay, if not, is there, those of us from the library, is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe I haven't discussed or want to further clarify or point out? Again, let me provide the URL to today's handout. I will copy it and put it in the chat. It's tinyurl.com/library with a capital L, flex with a capital F, and then 10/2021. Okay, if not, oh, wait, we have a question. Okay, no questions, but just want to say thank you. This is so informative. Put a request for a recorded live, which was my main question. Thank you to all the librarians. You're welcome, Benjamin. Any other questions or comments? If you want, I can turn off the recording if you want to do any serious things.